Welcome, welcome. For everybody that is just coming on, make sure you go ahead and turn your camera on. You are in for a phenomenal night. You have some of my closest friends and some of the best educators in the world coming to talk to you tonight. And someone really near and dear, the man of the hour, Mr. Chad Free, has just come on camera, y'all. We are also streaming on Facebook. So, all of you guys that have a Facebook profile, if you will do us a favor, make sure that your phone volume is all the way down, but open up your Facebook profile, find Chad Free, and share this live stream to your page as well. That way, other people are going to be able to be blessed by this message because you guys are truly, truly, truly in for a treat. And whenever Chad started telling me about his book and the wealth and mindset revolution, I was like, oh my goodness, like don't we really need that here in our day and time? And you know, as I started doing some research into it, because I love to research things that I'm asked to do. And as I started doing some research, there was an unbiased financial confidence survey that was done at the end of 2023. And did you know that only 25% of adults consider themselves extremely confident in their finances? That leaves 75% of the population. That means 75% of the people on this call, myself included, don't always feel that confident in our finances, you know? And so it's like, whoa, it's good to know that you're not alone, number one. But that is really what this whole thing is about. You know, the Wealth Revolution Mastermind, it is a mission, and this really is a revolution. You know, we have consumer debt, it is at an all-time high. Consumer confidence is at an all-time low. We're making more money than we ever have, and we're putting less away into savings. We are feeling like we are working our tails off. Does anybody here on the call just raise your hand? You don't got to put anything chat or anything like that. But if any of this resonates with you, what I'm about to say, just raise that hand. Do any of you feel like you are always super busy, always working, always making money, always doing more, trying to be more, but those dollars just don't go like as far as they used to? Like you just feel like a little more stress than you typically have been feeling? Like anybody else? Yeah, we do all feel like that from time to time. And that really is as another saying we'll say in the South is like, do you feel like you are busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest, but you're still not able to make ends meet? Like that sense of inner peace just is not there. You know, it's time for a divine disruption, and that's exactly what this is all about. And you know, whenever I first learned about Chad, it was quite a few years ago, actually. I interviewed him, and it was with Tim Story, one of our speakers tonight. And Chad was such an amazing person, and you just got like such a sense of calmness and a sense of peace about him. And he started telling about his divine disruption that he had in his life. And if you are not on mute, I am going to ask everybody to go on to mute because Chad's going to start talking here in just a little bit. And we are going to get started. But Chad started talking about his divine disruption. And Chad, I don't want to do the story any disservice. So I would like for you to talk to us a little bit about your divine disruption and what it is that we are doing here tonight with this virtual book launch party.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Becca. Everybody give Becca a hand. See, she talks like me. She talks like me. Don't you like that? Busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. I tell you what, that's great. Yeah. So what this is all about, guys, is 3 years ago this month, I found myself in my closet on the floor in a fetal position, completely broke. Climbed a lot of ladders. I'm the financial guy. I'm an author of Wake Up Your Retirement. And I've done this and I've done that. And those ladders that I climbed were just against the wrong building. I was so focused on where I was, and I never took time to think about who I was. And so in that closet, when I lost pretty much everything that I went all in on, because finally I had the opportunity that I had been looking for. You know, you'll hear me say a lot of sayings that I learned directly from my coaches, but I felt like I was a level 10 person, but stuck inside of a level 4 opportunity. And then the door opened that I believed in, and now I can go all in. You see, I had advisors across the country who I actually put together plans for their multi-million dollar clients. NFL team football owners, CFO of the third largest retailer in the world, had a lot of experience. And then all of a sudden, things changed. And again, I lost out on that opportunity. And it was in that moment that I had my divine disruption, like Becca said. And as I was, my family is everything to me. And I always focused on getting him to a certain spot. And so during those tough times, I felt like I was holding that boat up. See, we all hustle and we all do it for the benefit of our family. But sometimes we become a human doing instead of a human being, what Tim Story says. And that was me. And my heart had to break for my eyes to be open. And it is at that point in time when I would tell you my whole life I depended on God, but I didn't know what it was like to depend on Him until I had to depend on Him. And I heard very clearly, maybe not audible, but clearly, I created you on purpose for a purpose. You see, I believe that for everybody. I believe everybody's created on purpose for a purpose. And their mindset and money often prevent them from ever pursuing that purpose because you're so focused on surviving that you can't fathom what it's like to actually thrive. So a lot of us feel like we're doing great, but then we look at our bank account and like, where did this go? Right? Where's our money go? We feel like we got it all together. I'm that level 10 person. I think I'm doing everything right. I'm equipped. Why can't I catch my break? How many of you feel like that? How many of you feel like you've done everything you can and you just can't seem to get the break? You know, sometimes we have to have our heart broke for our eyes to be opened. I can sit here and say, wake up all the time. I've got Daniel Hodges and with the wake up shirt on. Um, I can tell you that, but sometimes you just have to hear it. Sometimes you have to feel it in order to make a change. Sometimes you have to do what Rebecca says and take control, make an alternate, and sometimes you have to delete and do a complete restart. And that's what happened in my life. And so let me tell you what happened. Shortly after hearing God say, I created you on purpose for a purpose, it is then that I started seeing this slideshow of my life. And my mom and dad are everything to me. I believe they're watching on Facebook. And my dad, he did very well. He actually had a house paid for at 35, retired in his late 40s. We didn't live a flashy life, but I tell you one thing, we never went without as long as we appreciated and never took for granted. We about got anything we wanted. But because I was not hitting the markers in my life that he had hit in his life, you see, God revealed to me for the first time in my life that he don't want to bless who I'm trying to be. He wants to bless who he created me to be. And I define success as what my dad did. My dad didn't put that on me, but that was my standard. And when I realized that, guys, the shackles didn't just come off the wrist. It came out of my pores and I was free. You like that, don't you? Free. I was free indeed, because at that point in time, I learned that I'd been stuck inside the frame and I couldn't see my own picture. You see, I saw my own lane for once in my life, and I'm running my own race. It's not for anybody else. And I'm responsible for that race. And I don't pursue success anymore. I pursue excellence because I can control excellence. And I can't compare my chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 10. So now, just from relationships and mentors and coaches that I'm so blessed to have on here, let me tell you what I'm doing. I operate from my spirit now, from a foundation of purpose in which feeds my heart's desire to do what I do every day. And I have a thirst for knowledge to be the best that I can be. And man, I go out there and get after it because you can't shut me up. I am on a mission. And I believe everybody's created on purpose for a purpose. And if you believe that, why don't you raise your hand? Because Proverbs 19:21 says something. Man has many plans, but God's purpose will prevail. It's as simple as that, guys. And that's what this book right here is all about. Because when you pursue your purpose, God will unlock the potential inside of you, which is the gift that He's given you that many don't even realize that you have. And that gift is not learned, earned, or even deserved. I didn't know that I would be doing this right here. I didn't know that I would love to speak. I didn't know that I would be coaching. I didn't know that I would be speaking on stages all over the country, even in California, in Beverly Hills, and in Los Angeles. But when you let go and let God, He will do things. He will put His super on your natural. And when you let Him unlock the potential, you will become extremely present and aware of who you are and how you can be better. You will start experiencing that profit, true profit that's internal and external. And guys, guess what? That all leads to peace. We all want the peace, but we want to jump past the other things. It's one step at a time, guys. And that's what this book is about. And I'm so thankful because this is a calling. My calling has called me, Tim Story. And I'm super, super, super thankful for this opportunity. I'm so glad that you all joined me. And listen, you're going to learn a lot. And knowledge is not just to be simply knowledge. It's to actually execute and take action on. That's what it is. So I believe everybody has a next step to become better. Raise your hand if you believe the same thing, and I'm going to add something else because I don't know that Jesus may be in here, but He's not on here. Even the best can become better. Even the best can become better. So you're going to learn a lot. And the first thing to do is take action, and we'll give you an opportunity to do that here at the end. So thank you, Becca. I hope I didn't go too far over because I didn't set my clock. Let's roll with it.
Let's roll, brother. No, that was so good. And Chad, as I was listening to you right there, when you said, as Tim has said in the past, you were a human doing instead of a human being. So you felt like you were doing all of the right things, but you didn't feel fulfilled. You were wandering and wondering both at the same time. And so can you just take like a minute and tell us, like, how did you begin to know that the money part of it was no longer really about like that internal peace that you were seeking? How did you begin to know that you were on the right path and walking in your purpose at that time?
It really happened at that moment, at in the closet, because here's what I found. I found that I kept telling my wife, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. See, I had about $100 to $110,000 of commissions that should be starting to pay out at any time. And I described that as a light at the end of the tunnel because I got to keep going. And I would go to bed praying that, just a small portion of that would pay out just to give me a sense of peace or margin in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when that light went completely out, when it was no longer, I realized that that was what was driving me.
Yeah.
And
So
so
good.
then I got that peace and I knew who my source. I would tell you that God was my source, but now I knew God was my source. And money is a resource. Your income
Yes.
should be made for an impact and influence. And that's what it
Mm,
is for me now. I can go get as much as I want of it,
I
but
love that.
I know whose I belong to.
Yes. And Tim, as Chad says, your income was made for an impact. You know, you are the king of the miracle mentality and the magic in your finances. And you've done a whole series about this. And so, when it comes to the magic in your finances, what are the things that we really need to know and start implementing in our lives from this day forward?
I think one of the things I want to say is I'm so proud of Chad for having the desire to help people in the area of finances, but then going out there and writing, working with Stefan, who's here today, working with the amazing Coach Burt, the legend. Could you guys please give him a clap? He's on. And working with other people that are on the screen for us to get this book in our hands and for our lives to get changed. So, as you guys know, and you'll see me looking at some notes, that we learn from education, we learn from conversation, and we learn from observation. So, the education component is very, very important. It's like, I remember when I first got my first checkbook when I was 16. And thank goodness that I have an older sister named like Bernadette, and she taught me how to do my checkbook. But when it came to taxes, I only knew like probably like 50% of what taxes were really about when I was 16, 17 years of age. I think one of the things that Chad has done here is he's brought in education to teach us about the challenges in the area of our finances, but not only help us not to be nervous or scared, but to give us, as I call, a miracle mentality. So let me talk about the miracle mindset and mentality in the area of your finances for just a few minutes. So number one, a miracle is something that is extraordinary. It is not regular. It is not common. So rather than being afraid of the financial situation and being overwhelmed by it. So I did a little bit of research for this day, and I found out that a lot of people in the area of finances, they fear the financial side of life. They also many times get intimidated by the financial side of their life. And another one is that they feel societal pressures in the area of their finances. And a lot of it has to do with what they might hear on social media or even on the news that overwhelms them. So Chad helps us, he educates us through this book. Then the second way we learn is conversation, like we're having today. And the third is observation. And so Chad, thanks for getting out of the closet. Because if you had stayed in the closet any longer, a lot of people will not get help by this book. Okay. So, Rebecca, you need a miracle mentality. Number one, you got to believe in miracles. To believe means to be convinced of. You need to expect them. That means to anticipate or to look for. Boom. Look for the miracles, people. Look for the miracles, expect them, anticipate them. So believe. Secondly, you expect. Third thing, and this is good for everybody that will watch it now or watch this later, is you got to receive what God gives you. There's something called the law of the harvest. You got to plow the ground, then you plant the seed, then you water the seed, and you will reap a harvest. But the Bible says in Galatians 6:7, it says, do not become weary in well-doing, for in the proper season, you're going to reap a harvest because you did not give up. So as Chad teaches, do not give up. Almost done. You got to believe, you got to expect, you got to receive, then you got to become a miracle. And this is what God wants you to be. He wants you to walk around this planet as light. You are a billboard for a better life. Okay. So you become a miracle. So you believe, expect, receive, become. And then this is what Chad is about. He is a miracle releaser. He loves to give back. Coach Burt is a miracle releaser. Stefan Unias, miracle releaser. Rebecca, miracle releaser. Joseph, miracle releaser. So many people I see in here. Derek, miracle releasers. So we believe, we expect, we receive, we become, and then we release. So here's what I want to say to you. You can know that you know that you know this subject of finances to the point where you got it and it does not have you.
And the mic drops right there. You have it, but it does not have you. And that really is the heart of Chad's book. And Tim, you've had an opportunity to read this book.
Yeah.
And so would on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all and 10 being you need to buy the darn book right now, what are you rating this book?
You have to buy it at a 10 because what happens is you're going to get intimidated and frustrated by the financial world unless you really understand. So
Yes.
he was able to break it down where I understand his story, but he also gives me some steps so I can become more knowledgeable. So I would say at a 10, this is a must for every family.
Yes. And you know what? The thing that I really love about the book the most is that, like you said, it really gives you actual tangible things that you can do. Like there's a whole assessment that is tied with this book. And the fact of the matter is like most of us, if you're anything like me, like we grew up in blue collar America. There are so many money secrets that the ultra wealthy and wealthy have that are not taught at home. Like we're not talking about tax strategies at the dinner table. Like, I mean, at least not in my house, we weren't. I mean, I could be the only person, but I mean, if you did not talk about tax strategies at your dinner table, raise your hand so we can see. Growing up. Yeah, okay. The majority of people on this, um, this book really is one of those things that begins to give you that understanding so that you're really no longer a prisoner to how much you earn. It's no longer about income. It's about the impact that you can make with that income. Because the fact of the matter is for every dollar everyone makes, this is something that I learned as well, Chad, from you. Every dollar that everyone makes, 51 cents of it goes towards tax in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And being able to get a leg up and to get a deeper and better understanding of not only your mindset about money, but how you can create more impact about it and how you can still take that same amount of money that you're earning, but you can do different things with it. And Tim, that's what I really love most about this book. If you can't tell, I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, and I think that that's one reason we're all on the screen today. And that's one reason that so many people are getting behind this book that's going to be like a beautiful wave. Because as you're saying, Rebecca, if we get educated, then others around us can become educated because we didn't talk about certain things around dinner tables. But now by having access to a book like this, we can grow better in our understanding, and then we could teach others as well.
Yeah. And it really is at the end of the day all about confidence and becoming more confident in our abilities and being in rooms like this where people have real conversations that can actually help you, as you said, Tim, to get a little better in life and really start walking in your purpose. And then you start having conversations with people like Coach Burt, who's here on this call, and he starts teaching you how to turn that purpose and turn it into a profit. And when you start doing that, then you actually have more leverage, more money. You're able to create more impact. And so, Coach Burt, if you'll go ahead and come off mute and tell us a little bit about what do we need to do to start turning our purpose into a profit. Everybody give him a big clap, 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 clap as he comes on the screen. And Coach Burt, just share with us, he's another Southern gentleman. He might have a funny saying or two like me and Chad do, but he is phenomenal. And I am really looking forward to you guys learning about turning your purpose into profit.
Well, I want to start. I'm going to get into saying some things about Chad first, but I'm going to use a Tim Story line here. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Wow, wow, wow. And Becca, look at that hair tonight. Girl, you done gone all full. It's like, boom. I love it.
I said at the beginning, Coach Burt, I said, you know, in the South, we believe that the bigger the hair, the higher the hair, the closer to Jesus. And it's just really humid right now. And I did not feel like straightening it. So
you're real close to Jesus tonight, girl. You're real close. You know, I wrote in my notes, you know, every coach, and I think Tim will agree with this, every coach wants to coach a Chad Free. Right? It gives a guy like me who coaches thousands of people, and Tim coaches thousands of people. I can't tell you what it does for a coach to see a player like Chad Free go and execute on this. And it's such a joy to coach a guy like him who is humble, he's hungry, he's teachable, he's alert, he's curious, he's responsive. I mean, he is a coach's dream to come into our coaching program and go do this. So to see him write a book, to see where he came from. I remember doing a conference several years ago, Tim, and there was this guy sitting to my left, and he cried through the whole conference. And I go, what's going on with that? What's going on with that guy? And it was Chad Free. And what was going on with that guy was an awakening to his purpose, to his potential, to his possibilities, to his gifts and his talents. That was what was happening, is the breakdown was creating a breakthrough in his life. Right. And listen, guys, I've had a front row seat at this, being one of his coaches, of watching him take an idea, package an idea, find his calling, find his true vocation, which is Latin for the term voice or calling in life, and then bring that calling to help other people. And there's no surprise to me that his life is just right. What's happened is the manifestation of finding his voice and talent in life and really doing it. So Chad, I want to say, man, I'm proud of you as a coach. You're right there. You're right there scoring points, brother. And does our hearts good. Tim and I are so proud of you for bringing this to life and letting us be a small part of it, man. Just, you know, we have to deal with the good, bad, and ugly of being a coaching business, coaching thousands of people. And I got that testimony you sent me the other night, man. And I sent it to our whole team. And I go, this is why we do what we do, guys. This is why we coach. At the end of the day, to see somebody do this. So I'm just going to say a few things about purpose because Chad is the poster child for a program I did several years ago called Purpose to Profit. And during COVID, during March of 2020, this is a tough time on people that are in the coaching and speaking business because we couldn't speak. I was losing about $250,000 a month during that period, and that hurt my feelings. And it also motivated me. And I go, okay, we got to find a new way to do this because we can't go on the road. We can't do events. All of our speaking engagements were canceled, and we were forced to find a new way. And that was a good thing. And so we're sitting around a room one day, and I go, and a group approached me and said, we need to do a boot camp, a virtual boot camp. I'd never done a virtual boot camp before. And they said, Coach, what do you do? Like, what do you really do? And I said, man, in some kind of crazy way, I think I kind of help people uncover and discover their purpose. It's not what I set out to do, but it's how God's using me. And I didn't think about it this way, but this is what I'm doing. And then I said, I think I'm really skilled at helping them make money and profit and really go out and help people. And they said, so purpose to profit. Is that what you're telling me? And I go, bingo. And we did a virtual event. The virtual event created about $500,000 of revenue at a time that we needed some revenue, guys. And it became a big part of it. And Chad Free was one of the people in that program. And he took it. So I started thinking a lot about purpose, right? It got me thinking, and most studies show that about 89% of people live their entire lives and never locate their purpose. Now think about that. That's a very high number of people that go their entire lives and never locate their purpose. Why was The Purpose Driven Life selling 1 million copies a month when that book came out many years ago? And so I started playing around with purpose, and I started going, purpose is really exchange. It's an exchange of your talents, your gifts and talents to help another person with their ambitions or their problems. And when they come back to you and say, thank you, I owe you, I wouldn't be able to do this without you, it gives you a sense of purpose, right? When Chad Free sent me that note the other night and said, man, I wouldn't be able to do this without you, coach. Guess what I felt? A sense of purpose. I'm like, this matters. What we're doing really matters. So how do you find that purpose? And what has Chad been doing over the last few years to find his, right? He started asking harder questions. What is my purpose? Number two, how do I distribute my purpose? Could I distribute it through my work? Could work become the distribution channel for my talents? Could I distribute my talents to the world in a very high manner, and the world comes back and says, thank you, Chad, we owe you, right? And not only in profit that's external, which would fill your bank account, but in internal profit. See, the more I studied profit, the more I said there's internal profit, feeds the internal bank account, and there's external profit, feeds the external bank account. And the perfect marriage is between you taking your knowledge and your skill and your desire and distributing it through your work to help another person solve their problem. And the world comes back and says, thank you, I owe you. I couldn't have done it without you. So Chad has gone from mental creation, thinking about what he should be doing, to physical action. And the book is a manifestation of that. And we have coached him in how to make an offer around the book. See, you did such a good job. You started off with the pre-frame there, big guy. I'm like, now he's doing it. All right, we're going to be inviting you to take action, because the book will open your mind, but the coaching will change your life. Okay. And we believe that. Okay. So I just want to say, Chad, I think you found your, what I call the NBO, the next big opportunity. And if it doesn't work out in this line of work, I think Tim would tell you, you got a future in being a televangelist as well, my brother, because I would send money in to listen to a guy like you in the morning.
And even him with that white shirt, he can do it. I'm telling you.
I'll send
Coach
money
Burke.
in right now. Just tell me where to send the money. Tell me where to send the money, and I'm sending it.
Coach Burt, if I could just say this to you before Rebecca comes in. Chad did the work in your program, didn't he? He did the work.
Yeah. He did the deep work. And that's something very few people do, is the actual internal work, right? It's one thing to come to class and go, yes, I need to do that. Yes, I get it. Yes, I need to write a book. And yes, I need to package my purpose. And yes, I need to find my, it's one thing. That's what a lot of people do. But there's a difference between hearing something and internalizing something and synthesizing something and taking action on something to where you are moving toward a place of mastery. And this has not been a 1 week thing, guys. This has been a 3 or 4 year process for him of doing what Cal Newport calls the deep work, right? And that is an internal transformation so that you can have an external transformation. And that's a double shift, how he sees himself and how the world begins to see him, both internally and externally. So the private victories always precede the public victories. And he's definitely had those over the last 3 years. And I've seen it, man. I've laughed with him. I've cried with him. I've been right there with him, man, watching him do it. So to see it happen, I'm super, super, super duper proud. It's like a coach winning a champ. You taking me back to my championship night, big guy. We should get rings for everybody, championship rings for everybody.
I love that idea, Coach. And I love how you say a lot of people will consume information, but not a lot of people turn that into something that they create. They consume more than they create. And a lot of it boils down to that internal part that you are talking about. I call it being the CEO of your confidence. You have to change your mindset, and you really have to start believing in yourself. You have to start executing different action steps. You got to do the work. You can't just read a book. Like for me, you can't just go to hair school and then never pick up a pair of shears and then just dream about owning your own salon and then creating your own product one day and then it magically showing up on store shelves. Like, y'all, it just doesn't happen like that. And then once you execute those different action steps, you get your behind into action, you do that internal work, you begin to turn it into something else. And then you do exactly what we are all here doing right now. We are observing the birth of a purpose, passion project that Chad Free had. He got himself around the right people. This is the teachable moment. He got himself around the right people. He put himself in the right rooms. He started having the hard conversations. The Bible tells us that iron sharpens iron, and Chad Free did the work. There's an assessment that the man created that is going to be dropped later on in this launch party here tonight. That is truly, truly phenomenal. And it is, I took it today and it even uncovered some of my subconscious thinking about the way that I think money and values align. And it really is just, you know, like Tim and Coach, this is a wealth revolution. And this is a conversation that really starts around all of that. And, you know, it really is about who is on your team. And, you know, Stefan is the master of that. Like Stefan is the brainchild behind what we are doing tonight and the whole Wealth Revolution mastermind. And, you know, like Stefan, I would like to for you to come on and kind of talk to us a little bit about who is on your wealth launch team.
I love that. Just a quick shout out to Chad. Man, what an amazing moment for all of us to be here. I had the privilege of working with Chad on this book as the editor, and then obviously editor-in-chief of Thought Leader Press, to have this book not just out, but for it to be on the Thought Leader Press label, next to other amazing books like Stay Steady and Stay Times, which is a book I had the privilege of writing with my Uncle Tim, who's on this call, Jamie Paw, who's on here, Generosity Advantage, his book's coming out on that label, Michael Sombert, his new book, Rebel Cultures, coming out on that label. So for Chad not only to produce such an amazing book, for actually it to be a thought leading book that I think is going to help a lot of people all over the country, is just super amazing, and something I'm overly proud to be a part of. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about this idea of who's on your financial launch team. You know, one of the things that I remember a conversation I had with Chad a couple of years ago when we first sat down, and he was just sharing with me the vision of Mindset and Money Revolution, the Wealth Revolution. And, you know, I said, what do you want to do with all this? And I, you know, and he said straight up at the beginning, I want to really help change people's lives in the area of finances. I want to be on other people's launch teams. And you know, it's interesting. One of my favorite movies it's called The Revenant with De Niro and DiCaprio, excuse me. And so I remember when DiCaprio won he won the Oscar for that movie in 2016, and that was a big question around if he would win that year. You know, he had been passed up year over year for a bunch of other amazing movies, and so he ended up winning Best Actor, and they were interviewing him you know, about it after. And it was interesting. He thanked everyone on his launch team. He thanked his agent for picking the amazing project, for his acting coach who believed in him, for his co-stars who brought the best out of him. And I think so often in life, especially in the United States, we have this myth that, you know, success, you know, the myth is a self-made man. We think success is a self-made game, right? True people who are successful are people that make it on their own. And I think as a culture, we're kind of obsessed with this idea, right? Every time I feel like you watch, you know, CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, they always have some special on some founder who invented something in their, you know, in their garage that changed the world. And so I think we have this idea that what breeds success is, you know, what we do. And the truth is, and research is super clear on this, that success is defined by who you have on your team. They did this really interesting study where they looked at folks who had financial goals for the year in the form of New Year's resolutions. And they found that out of millions of Americans who set financial goals in January, only 9% hit their goals by the end of the year. And so it's an amazing statistic to think about, that when we decide to go it alone, when we decide to DIY it by ourselves, we can expect that around 9% of the time we'll be able to be successful in whatever we want to do. And that kind of is true if you think about it. You talk to people all the time. It's like, hey, this is the year I'm going to lose the weight. Next year, hey, this is the year I'm going to lose the weight. Next year, hey, this is the year I'm going to lose the weight. Or maybe it's a business. But we can expect that when we DIY something, it's about 9% of the time we'll be able to hit it. But they did this really interesting study at Dominican University where they wanted to study folks that were successful in goals, and they found that there were two big factors that made the biggest shift in goal achievement. And so the first one was having a plan, having a true vision that you write down and articulate in detail of what you want to achieve. And really, that is the book, I believe, Mindset and Money Revolution. That book is an amazing framework. If you, everyone on this call has thought about money. We all have thoughts about where we want to end up at 50, 60, 70. Maybe we've talked to people, we've got some advice, 401k, Roth IRA, all these things. But when we're, at the core of Mindset and Money Revolution is really a multi-step plan that you can use to sit down and really build out a wealth strategy. And as I think Chad says it so well, so many of us, we have been taught that money is our source. It's our source of identity. It's what we crave. It's what we follow. But wouldn't it be amazing if money shifted from being our source to being our ultimate resource to achieve the purposes that we have in life? And so that's something that Chad really taught me, just as his editor, is to say, what, before we build a wealth strategy, the way that ultra wealthy people think is just different than the way regular folks think. And one of the things that they do, they sit down and they say, okay, what's my purpose? Let's assume I had all the money in the world. Let's assume I could develop any strategy I've ever wanted. Where do I need to be? How do I want my life to be? And so I think this book, just shameless plug, I think really provides an amazing way to do that. But number two, outside of a plan, it really is having accountability and having purpose partners in your life. And so in that study where they looked at folks that had a plan and had regular biweekly accountability where they got to check in with a group of folks, that number went from 9% of goal achievement in the area of finances all the way up to 78% annually, which is just absolutely incredible. And so when it comes to, I think, building wealth or really doing anything in your life, really thinking through who is on my launch team, who are the people that I need to surround myself with to put me in the direction I need to go in order for me to be successful. And so what I love about Chad is that, and why I think this is a movement and not just another signature message, is the book helps folks build the plan. Then you have Chad as like the ultimate strategist and coach, but then this idea that we've been building this incredible Wealth Revolution mastermind of just incredible business folks from everywhere who come together biweekly. Love these calls. I look forward to it every other Thursday, where we can actually get together and talk about what do we value most in life? What drives us? What kind of businesses do we want to create? And how do we align all our efforts with the purpose that God has created us. And so I just love that. That's why in my mind, this is a true movement, because it's not just a book, but it's saying, hey, like, let's build your plan, but let's actually surround yourself with amazing people that want to hit their wealth building goals year over year, hit those 70, 80% goals. And in 5 years, just watch what happens.
Stefan, that is so, so, so good. And, I really I also look forward to those biweekly Thursday calls and the mastermind, because that checking in is really what takes you from point A to point B. Because sometimes, as you begin taking action, you might hit what is called a little pothole, and then you might like blow out a tire or something. And it's so amazing to be able to get on that call inside with those people and being like, okay, I went for it. This is what I did. And I blew my whole tire out, and I don't know how to change a tire. Like, I don't even know how to get the lug nuts off. The only thing I know about them is how to spell them, like help a sister out. And so it's really good to be able to have that type of check-in group there. So thank you for sharing that. And Chad Free, tell us a little bit about this assessment that I took and that these people are now going to get an opportunity to take.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let me tell you about this assessment. It's like you said, you know, we really need to be intentional on where we're trying to go and who we're trying to be. And I got this from Coach too. It's as simple as going from A to B. We put in the GPS where we're trying to go, but the hardest thing for us to do is admit where we're at. See, we have to plug in our current location to get the directions to where we're trying to go. And so this assessment is going to kind of give you where your money mindset is. And so the link's been put in there, the money mindset, yourmoneymindset.info. It's it's free. You just go through it and you can kind of see where your money mindset is. But here's what I want you to know. See, I'm confident in all the money move stuff, but I'm passionate about, Tim, you're going to have to come off mute and say that one more time, because you said it. Knowing it or being controlling you versus you controlling it. Will you please say that one more time? That's what this whole book's about, Tim.
We have an understanding of finances. Instead of you controlling it, it controls you, and you start to become intimidated and frustrated. But let me add a new one. When you get to know money, like you're teaching us, you become motivated.
Absolutely. That's it, guys. That's where my desire is, because I want you all to experience. I want you to experience what true wealth is, and that's an abundance of everything that you value. That's true wealth. Coach Burt actually named me the #1 strategist and leading authority in building true wealth. And so let me share with you just a couple of things. So you see the QR code, you see the actual link that you can take the assessment, but let me just see why you should do this. You see, let me give you a quick teaching moment for money. 250%. Would you like to make 250% on your money like banks do? Let me just share with you how that works. Let's just say, now put your math hat on, okay? And understand that we can't solve new world problems with old world solutions. So open your mind, because it works best like a parachute, okay? But somebody deposits $10,000 in the bank and they're going to pay you 2%. Everybody understand that? My money going into the bank, they're paying me 2%. $10,000. That's $200, guys. Write it down, $200. 2%. They go out the back door and they're going to loan that money out for 7%. 7%, write it down, $700. 2%, 7%. When I ask you how much did they make on that money, you're going to take, most people are going to take 5%. I mean, 7% minus 2%. Well, they made 5%. No, they did not. That's where we get so caught up in interest rates that we don't understand how it really works. They took 200 and made 700. That's 250%. And that's some of the things that we do for you. But you have to be willing and understand that it's up to you to take that next step. Get off the sideline hoping leftovers shake out in your favor when you're called to get in the game. Maybe you're a person that I helped double their retirement income, double it. They were scared to death because they were taking $30,000 to $40,000 out per year because they just experienced a huge loss. Now they can take out $80,000 a year in income. Guess what that did? That gave them margin in their life to go out and pursue their purpose and their mission. And that is irrelevant to whatever the market's doing. And guess what, guys? It's not annuitizing an annuity, because I know that's exactly where your mind goes. You might be the business owner that don't want to sell the business because you know that Uncle Sam's going to get almost all of that money. You can be that business owner that we helped and our group helped. After they exhausted all the knowledge and strategies of their Main Street advisors, who probably had well intentions, they were going to walk away with $2.4 million. After talking to our experts, and let me tell you something, I know that I'm an expert in certain areas, and certain areas I'm not. I'll bring in the heart surgeon. See, I don't have to own the hospital. I don't have to be the heart surgeon to own the hospital. I bring in the specialist. And guess what? We turned that 2.4 into 21.4 million. And now guess what? They can pursue their passion with a nonprofit that has always been in their heart to do. So no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, if you're just trying to get started, or if you are worth $100 million, guess what? Everybody has a next step to become better. And even the best can become better. And I want to help you become better, but you have to take that first step. And that's why I think this assessment is huge. Take the assessment. I think it'll make you do some serious introspection about where you are. And just think about this, guys. Maybe somebody in your family, generations to come, is waiting on you to take that next step. They're really depending on you to take that next step. We can continue wondering and wandering, or we can take action and get off of hopium. See, I like to disrupt the status quo and get people off out of that hopium. People addicted to hopium. And if you're in traditional finances, that's all you are, because you're on the roller coaster. I hope it all works out. Man, I hope they do me right. You can know that you know. So get on the no-so train. And it starts by taking an assessment. So that's what I got, guys. I know that was a long answer for a short question, Miss Black.
Of that,
No, listen,
hopium, Rebecca. What'd you think about that?
listen, I love the hopium because it really is true. And it's something that we kind of relate to as well, because I mean, I know I've been like, well, I do hope it all works out. And like, I'm putting my money in my Roth IRA, like I'm doing the thing. And yeah, like somebody, we won't mention their name, but somebody told me, if you contribute $100 a month starting at age 20, by the time that you're 60, you're going to have $1 million. And come to find out that it just doesn't work that way. And so I'm telling y'all, the assessment is where it's at, because it will give you a healthy dose of what your mindset really is about the hopium that you've been drinking, and the hopium that you've been putting in your mind in there.
And it's time to start living by design and quit living by default. Tim
Yes.
Story, thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Tim Story, for that. So
no, Chad, it's so amazing, because what's going to happen when you guys take this assessment is that you're going to see an opportunity to talk with Chad and his team. And how many people here, just by a show of hand, nobody gonna hold you to it, no, nobody's gonna come arrest you or anything like that, but how many people on this call tonight, just based on what Chad said right there at the end, your curiosity is piqued, and you just at least want to have a conversation with him about and his team to understand, like, wait a minute, back that bus up, break it down in like normal people terms, and help me understand how I can do that. Does that resonate? Is anybody intrigued? Yes, I see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So take that assessment, and you will have the opportunity to get on the phone with Chad and or one of his experts that can kind of explain how your money mindset can shift, how you can continue doing what it is that you're already doing, and make a couple of tweaks to it, put yourself in action, and really start making Black Diamond money moves in your life. Because Black Diamond, for those people who don't know about skiing, the Black Diamond Hills are the hardest. And we are at a time in our society as a culture where we have been sold a very obese portion of hopium. And we have less money in savings and in our investment portfolios than ever in history. It is a problem. They're calling our children and our children's children the soft generation. And you know where the change starts? It starts with you, and it starts with me. It starts right here. It starts with all the people that you see on this screen. And isn't it so amazing and so powerful and really feels good to know that you really are part of what could potentially be a momentum wave around money and impact in this world? Does that excite anybody? Yes, it does. It does. So if you have not already purchased the book, Alex is going to drop that link in the chat one more time. If anybody wants to come off of mute, and we'll take like 5 minutes here, the last 5 minutes, we'll go overtime a little bit. I hope that is okay with everyone. There you go, Derek Green. I see you. I see you. I see you. If anybody wants to come off of mute and just share really quickly, like one of their takeaways, something that they are excited about, or even a question for Chad. Anybody. Don't all come off at once and start talking over each other now, because we got a lot of Kristas on here. So if I call you Krista, just forgive me. We have a lot of Kristas on here. I'm going to say, Krista in the bottom right-hand corner. Miss Rosario, I see you doing some hearts there. Why don't you come off of mute and tell us one of your favorite takeaways or a question that you have for Chad?
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to say to Mr. Chad, this right here just made me feel like it's my turn to get out of the closet, to be able to pursue my purpose. And I've surrounded myself with great human beings, not great doers. So this is just the beginning for me. And again, thank you so much, Chad, for everything that you've talked about, and this is huge. I talked to my kids about this, so yes, I'm excited, Rebecca. So excited.
Thank you, Rosario. That was such a great
Thank you,
share.
Rosario. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Anybody else gonna come off mute? Oh, Joseph, I see that you came off mute. Michelle came off mute.
You know what? I'm going to defer to Michelle first. And nice to see you, Michelle.
Good to see you too, Joseph. I just wanted to say I met Chad Free in one of Coach Burt's personality people of interest. I was sitting next to him, and there was just something that clicked at that moment. And one of the things that Coach Burt always emphasized is get to know the people around. And through the years, through like 2 years of sitting and watching Chad and what he's done, he has really walked out the purpose in his life. And you can see the growth, and it's exciting to be in the same cohort with people like he, Derek Green, Kelly Eisler, and it's just exciting. And I'm so impressed with you, Chad. Keep it up, and I'm in your corner, and I'm here in the mix with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you for that share. And John, I see that John is also off of mute. John, did you want to share anything? John Funderburk.
I didn't think I was off mute, but I'll share something. I think I met Chad, what, 2 days ago, Chad, 3 days ago? And
yes, sir.
This is a passionate dude. I mean, he's a good cat. I think there's some big things that are going to be going forward between me and Chad. We've got a lot of things in the works. So yeah, just I'm so happy to be here, and everything he says is just spot on. Passionate guy, very, very smart, very intelligent. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
I love
Thank you,
it.
John.
Thank you for sharing that. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Joseph Mendoza.
Well, Rebecca, that's really what it's all about right there. Look at what John said. Just met Chad 3 days ago, right? I mean, Chad, you have an infectious personality, Chad, that just captivates an audience, Chad. I'm so proud of you. And there's a difference between a scuba diver and a snorkeler, Chad. And like Coach said, you're that scuba diver who went deep down, right? And did the work, right? And did the studying and the preparation to get to where you're at today. And the good thing is you teach us that money gives us leverage, you guys. Money doesn't buy happiness. Look at Coach Burt for an example, guys. I'm going to use Coach as an example, and I love Coach, and we were just texting a little bit ago. Money gave Coach leverage to build the Greatness Factory. And in turn, what is the Greatness Factory going to do? It's going to help change millions of other people's lives. It just gave him leverage to do what God's called him to do at a greater level. So Chad, you're now and you're next, as Tim Story says. So I couldn't be more proud of you, proud of Stefan, proud of your entire team for doing this, and just blessed to be able to call you a brother, Chad.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Joseph. Thank you. And before we have our last words, I just feel led to say this. I've done good. I get emotional every once in a while, and it's because of where I was and where I am now. And that's not necessarily financially. As I watched Christian, he had his little boy in his lap. The biggest transformation that has gone on in my life is I've got my boy on here on Zoom, my oldest, and he's listening. I've got my youngest who put on my phone, "You were created on purpose for a purpose" 2 years ago. And I will slap somebody if they try to take that off. And I have a beautiful wife who now I treat her the way she's supposed to be treated because I'm present. No longer am I throwing the balls in the baseball, the football, thinking about the deal that's going to close tomorrow. I'm confident that that's going to take place, period, point blank, when that time is here. But here's the challenge to wrap this up. We've talked a lot about people in your circle. I have a lot of people in my circle, but you are the kind of people that I want in my corner. The people who have spoken are the people that I want in the corner. And I want to challenge you to make sure that you're looking at who is in your circle versus who is in your corner. Because like Stefan said, we got to have the right people in our corner, because those are the people that are in our ear. And with that, guys, listen, I want to help anybody that I can. Please take that assessment. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it more than you realize. And I have a can't stop, won't stop mission ahead of me. And I promise you that I will be on top of the mountain talking about the mindset and money revolution, because people need it. So thank you all
Yes.
for joining. Beck, I'll let you close us out. Thank you.
You know what? I think it really is summed up by what Stefan said, that success is not self-made. And it piggybacks on what Coach Burt and Tim said, and you, Chad. It takes us all working together in a unified mission with like-minded people who really want the same things out of life. Because as we all know, there is no such thing as an overnight success. Teamwork makes the dream work. And when you take that assessment, you get on the phone with Chad, you begin to become part of the team even more than you are now, just by being on this virtual book launch party. I personally want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your lives, out of your schedule, to learn, to grow, and to create impact, and to show support for the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Chad Free. If you haven't already, make sure that you grab your copy of the book. You are going to get some follow-up emails over the next few days, thanking you for coming, giving you all the information that was here in the event that maybe you're driving, maybe you were in a meeting or something and you weren't able to fully be present. We are going to make sure that you get the resources that you need. And I encourage each and every one of you to come off mute and give us all a big good night. It was amazing seeing each and every one of you. I hope that you all are blessed, and we will see you on your inbox sometime soon.
I can't say good night without your jazz hands, though.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank y'all.
Good night.
Appreciate
Good night, good
you.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Yes. Good night.
Thanks,
Look how
Chad.